Have you ever wanted to be a nurse? Or a chef, perhaps? But could not because you were too busy cosplaying as an emo kid? If yes, then this manhwa is just for you. So with your knife held directly at your wrist, let's begin our recap. Alicia cries out for her sister Joanna as she is being held inside the prison. She begs her to let her out, her voice echoing off the cold stone walls. But Joanna just shows up, all smug, and scolds her like she has zero sympathy left in her body. Joanna reminds her that Alicia is showing no signs of remorse and that this whole situation is actually her punishment for tormenting Nicholas. But she thinks that no matter how bratty she's been, this isn't the kind of punishment she deserves, especially not for someone who is the daughter of a mistress. Alicia screams out that she has done nothing wrong, that Nicholas actually mocked her appearance first. But Joanna just believes it's only natural. That disgusting appearance is proof enough that Alicia is dirty and not a pure blood of their line. She says this with all the confidence in the world. Alicia insists that she didn't even want to be born like this. But Joanna, pulling out a dagger, says that Alicia doesn't even realize the kind of situation she's in. Joanna then drops the dagger into Alicia's hands and with a twisted laugh tells her that if she hates everything that much, then why not just give up her life altogether? And just like that, Joanna walks away, leaving Alicia first confused, then horrified, wondering what she even did to deserve to die like this. Even this place feels like it wants her gone. She hates the walls, the air, the bars, everything, and if they really want her to die, then fine. She decides she'll just do it. She pierces her own hand with the dagger, whispering in her head that if she dies, she's going to curse all of them. The room is dark and freezing. Alicia feels the chill crawling into her bones as she lies on the floor. When she opens her eyes again, she sees that it looks like one of those prisons she's seen in movies or games. Suddenly, a sharp pain hits her. She looks at her hand and sees it's wounded badly, blood pouring out, and the sight makes her scream out in shock like, what the actual hell is happening right now? And even worse, she realizes she is holding the dagger still. The bleeding is severe. Dizzy and disoriented, Alicia scrambles to stop it. First things first, apply pressure. But there's no sink, no medical kit, nothing. Her vision wobbles and she knows if she doesn't do something fast, she's cooked. She looks around desperately and spots a bed. Using the dagger, she rips apart the bedsheet like a total survival mode queen and wraps the cloth tightly around her hand. Then she takes the ribbon from her dress and uses it as a makeshift tourniquet, tying it as best as she can. The bleeding slows. She keeps her wounded arm elevated above heart level, like she vaguely remembers from first aid tips. She sighs, exhausted, but relieved that she hasn't completely bled out. Then comes the big brain question. Where even is she? She notices her hair looks way too long. That doesn't make sense. Last she remembers, she was a nurse in Japan. Literally, she was just finishing her shift, tired but happy. On her way home, she had bought her favorite dessert as a reward for surviving another day of work. Then her phone rang. She answered the call, stepped off the curb, and bam, a truck hit her straight on. She thought she was going to die. But when she came back to her senses, instead of holding her tart, she was holding a dagger, and it was covered in blood. Looking around now, it seems that the body she's in belongs to someone named Alicia. Alicia's father is the king, but since her mother is a foreign courtesan, she's been neglected her whole life by her own dad and constantly scorned by her stepsister for having such a lowly birth. There was no way a girl like Alicia could have grown up soft and kind. Anytime something displeased her, she would lash out at the servants, take away land from lower nobles over the pettiest issues, and use the weak as punching bags for her anger. One day, when Nicholas dared to talk back to her, a mere outsider in her eyes, she straight up pushed him down the stairs. And now, here she is, bleeding in a dark cell, cursed with both her own actions and the unfairness of a fate she never asked for. It turns out that Nicholas hadn't mocked her just for fun. He had mocked her dark hair, the same dark hair that resembled her mother's. And Alicia, in a fit of unfiltered anger, pushed him straight down the stairs. Everyone in the palace rushed to gather around him because Nicholas wasn't just some random court kid. He was the royal son-in-law, brought in with all the weight of becoming the future king. That moment was enough to lock Alicia away in the dungeon. Now, with another soul inside her, the new Alicia stirs in the darkness, carrying memories that don't even belong to this body. The female protagonist inside her can't ignore the strangeness of it all. Just yesterday she died in Japan, and now she's here, reincarnated into the life of Alicia. This can't be a dream. It's way too vivid, way too sharp, and honestly too painful. A knight arrives and tells her to come out, informing her that her sentence has been completed. As she walks with them, she keeps thinking about what kind of completed they mean, like, please not a death sentence, because that would be the rudest cosmic joke ever. But still, her bigger worry right now is her hand. The wound she gave herself is still raw, and she's paranoid about it getting infected. She badly wants proper treatment before it gets worse. As they pass through the halls, she notices a man watching her with obvious displeasure. Alicia, finally done with the silence, tells the knights that actually she would like to receive treatment for her wounded hand. But the knights only say that her father is waiting for her. The doors open, and she steps into the grand chamber. For the first time, she sees the people she is supposed to call her family. Nicholas is here, already starting his act, pale and wounded, while Joanna immediately scoffs, announcing that it looks like Alicia's face alone has traumatized him. Then Joanna spins toward her with that venomous glare, shouting that Alicia still has the audacity to live, when she was the one who pushed Nicholas down the stairs. Joanna doesn't just yell. She storms right at her, grabs her by the hair, and demands she kneel before Nicholas. Alicia can't believe this level of humiliation. No wonder the original Alicia turned twisted in the first place, if this is how she was always treated. Still, it is true. She did push Nicholas down the stairs. Alicia tries to speak, tries to ask Nicholas if he was really that injured. But before she can even finish, Joanna slams the ground, shouting that regardless of how injured he was, how dare Alicia touch him at all? Just her dirty hands alone should have been enough to know her place. And Alicia doesn't even get to finish her sentence. It's not the first time her words have been interrupted, not since she became a nurse back in Japan, where being cut off was basically part of the job description. Joanna, almost hissing, demands to know if Alicia is even listening. But before Alicia can answer, the king's voice thunders across the hall. He calls to Alicia, reminding her that Nicholas is the future king, as if she doesn't already know. He declares that no matter how unfair the circumstances were, the reality is that Alicia harmed him, and that could have led to a major injury. Alicia, honestly kinda numb to being scolded by others at this point, admits her fault. She says openly that she did wrong and will accept punishment. But the king makes it clear, just because she's accepted her crime doesn't mean he's softening the punishment. They all stare at her coldly, their eyes sharp as blades. Then the king declares her punishment. She will be married off to Emperor Brad of the Von Empire. Alicia freezes. She's confused, like, wait, who gets married off as punishment? And to a king, no less? And not just any king, but the ruler of the empire that until recently was their sworn enemy. She suddenly wonders if this is less of a marriage and more of being shipped off as a hostage, a way to dump their troublesome princess into enemy hands and wash their own. Both Joanna and Nicholas laugh openly at the decree, mocking her. For them, this is perfect fitting even. But Alicia? She thinks differently. Being made into another nation's empress might actually be the escape route she needs. If she can win the emperor's favor, she might rise even higher than all these people laughing at her. She could even become the empress herself. And if there's one thing her years of working long shifts in the hospital ward taught her, it's patience. And patience, built up day by day, is a weapon no one here should underestimate. The Von Empire stands as the neighboring nation to Arjun. The kingdom of Arjun, a major trading hub, has been locked in endless sea wars with the empire for what feels like forever. Yet, in a shocking twist, both nations have recently slid into a severe armistice agreement. Like, let's not blow each other up for a hot second. The newly crowned Brad, infamous across the land, is now branded as the cold-hearted king. He was only the 5th prince in the imperial line of succession, yet as soon as the previous emperor fell gravely ill, Brack went full villain mode. He framed his elder brothers for treason and executed them without mercy. Whispers run wild that all these so-called crimes were, in fact, totally fabricated receipts cooked up by Brad himself. He even executed his closest associates, straight savage energy. His mother, the Empress, was also thrown into confinement under the flimsy pretext of, quote, illness. Everyone knows the vibes. In the Empire, no one dares defy Brad. Tradition hits different in the Empire. Whenever a new king ascends the throne, it's required for him to take at least 13 consorts, all paraded dramatically in the royal carriage, like it's some cursed reality TV dating show. Alicia's aide drops the truth bomb on her, saying she needs to catch Brad's eye no matter what. Lucky for her, or maybe unlucky, depending on how one looks at it, due to the recent civil war, Brad hasn't taken a single consort since the very day of his coronation. Now, Word is out that all 13 consorts are being summoned to the capital at the same time, like all at once. The first impression isn't just important, it's basically life or death. Yeah. Alicia sighs, realizing the absurdity of it all. To her, this feels less like politics, and more like being dropped into a wild harem game she never signed up for. Not only is she about to marry the nation's worst enemy, she's also expected to compete for his attention, like some contestant on The Bachelor Blood Oath Edition. Her aide makes things worse by explaining that Brad has already declared no disputes over the throne will be tolerated. Once the first prince is born, all the other consorts are getting yeeted, straight up divorced without ceremony. Alicia is shook, because she's already heard rumors that Brad himself was the messy agent of chaos who caused disputes in the first place. The aide brushes this off, insisting that what she heard was just a rumor, and reminds her that she shouldn't say things like that anywhere near Brad, unless she wants an instant game over. Still, Alicia can't help but think ahead. If Brad is really just going to divorce her eventually, she might as well head back home the moment he drops that announcement. But her aide practically scoffs at her naivete, as if it were that easy. If Alicia seriously thinks she can just waltz back to her home after all this, she's delulu. The girl herself is painfully aware that escape isn't possible. In other words, if she fails to secure the position of Empress, she's straight up getting exiled. And for someone like her, exile in this unknown world isn't just a bad ending, it's practically a death sentence. She's incapable of using magic or even basic magical tools, yet she carries royal blood. Maybe, just maybe, her face will be her one shot at survival. Still, Alicia can't shake the thought that something is seriously off. For some strange reason, she cannot use magic at all. In this world, literally everyone is born with magical powers, and their everyday lives are made easier with convenient items called magical tools. But her? Nada. Zip. Nothing. That's the true definition of incompetence final boss level useless. She realizes that if she gets booted from the palace, she won't even last a week outside, which means she needs to grind hardcore sweat mode if she wants to survive. On the following day, she tells herself she should at least try to get along with her aide in this strange new place, but it's obvious he's ignoring her. When he finally speaks, he introduces himself as Duke. Alicia is like, wait, what? She can't believe his name is actually Duke. He clenches his fists, as if her lack of recognition stings. It seems she doesn't remember him at all. With a voice taut with restrained anger, he explains that he comes from a low-ranking noble family whose lands were confiscated by her. Having lost everything, he was reduced to the position of her attendant, exiled alongside her from the kingdom. At first, Alicia is full-on confused. Oh gee, what is happening here? But then it hits her. Memories flood in, and she recalls that the original Alicia had indeed done such a thing. For some ridiculously trivial reason, like not liking the color of their clothes, she had forcibly seized their family's lands. Imagine meeting royalty for the first time and being judged just because you weren't matching color palettes. Like, girl was giving royal fashion police, and it ruined lives. It signifies loyalty. But Duke, who has just recently arrived from the countryside, doesn't know that at all. Alicia, already carrying heavy frustration, vents it upon those beneath her. She must have gained a ton of enemies through her behavior. At last, she formally apologizes to him, admitting openly that her lack of consideration must have caused him a lot of harm. She doesn't beg him to forgive her mistakes, but she truly hopes he will stay by her side from now on. Duke, ever composed, answers that he intends to do so because, in his eyes, it is his duty. Finally, they reach the capital. The grand announcement of her entry is made. The butler informs them that the consorts will be entering in order, one by one, and that they must wait until their names are called. Alicia thanks him for the information, sitting there nervously, aware that she is about to meet the most cold-blooded man of all. Even though Duke's life in the countryside was harsh, he still makes sure to get her clothes of the same shade and fabric as Brad's, almost like a silent reassurance. Soon, someone approaches her, asking whether she is also waiting to have an audience with Brad. The girl looks every bit like a princess. Alicia greets her politely, introducing herself as Alicia. The girl smiles gracefully and introduces herself as Wendy. She says she is glad to meet her. Alicia, trying to be helpful, tells Wendy that she has heard rumors that the Emperor is wearing white today and suggests that Wendy should also change into a white dress. The moment those words land, Wendy's expression drops into sadness. She hadn't heard anything about that at all. She thanks Alicia for telling her and says she will go get changed into white so that she doesn't end up hated by Brad. Alicia watches her leave, but doubts stir in her chest. She wonders if she is being low-key bullied here, if maybe she is the only one who didn't get the memo. Even in the world of her past life, there were always outcasts, and it seems like in any world the situation repeats the same way. But what the scene actually reveals is chilling Wendy is smirking as she leaves, her face clearly showing that she is up to no good. Then the butler calls for Alicia to enter. She is glad to find herself last in line. Being last means being remembered the most, and she is all set to make a striking impression. The gates open, and there he is, the king himself dressed fully in white. Alicia takes a step forward, her confidence steady until laughter cuts through the hall. All the ladies are wearing dresses in different colors, none in white. Her heart sinks instantly, confusion rushing in like a wave. Why the hell did this happen? Even Wendy, now standing among them, is laughing at her. Brad scoffs, cold as ice, declaring that as the symbol of truce, her father said he would send his daughter as consort. But now Brad wants to know, what exactly is the meaning of this? Alicia herself is burning with the same question. How is she supposed to know this? He asks her what the meaning of this is, while she is literally spiraling and wanting to run away from here. He claims he did hear some rumors about her being the youngest, the stupid, and the arrogant. He scoffs at the thought, questioning inwardly if she really thinks she is equal to him, because in this empire, only the empress can wear the same clothes as the emperor. She realizes that their culture is the total opposite of hers. She turns her gaze toward Wendy, who is scoffing like she already saw this coming. She knew it all along, but still pretended not to know. It is not just Wendy, though. Everyone here is basically her enemy. She tries to clear the misunderstanding, saying that she is really sorry for this lack of knowledge, because in her nation wearing the same clothes as the Lord is meant for submission, not equality. Yet, he shouts that this is his empire. She knows instantly that whatever she says now is useless, because it will only sound like an excuse or some made-up lie. He questions if someone set her up, if she is claiming that she was deceived. The thought of Duke suddenly crashes into her brain like a bad pop-up ad, because it was him who chose the dress for her. But she shakes off this suspicion, because it cannot be him. They had to go straight to audiences right after their arrival, so there was barely any time to check the culture here. Besides, no one except the Emperor himself pointed it out earlier. Brad questions further, wondering if she is just going to blame someone else for this disaster and sacrifice them instead of herself. She cannot tell if he is saying this because he is losing his patience and wants her to shift the blame, or if he is testing her to see if she will throw someone under the bus. She feels that maybe, just maybe, he might forgive her that way. But still, she bows to him, insisting in her own words and mind that it was only her lack of knowledge. Because even if she drags the Duke into this, it is not guaranteed that Brad will forgive her. The whole thing feels less like judgment and more like a giant test, and she low-key hates being anyone's exam paper right now. The scene shifts, and Duke is asking her why she did not put the blame on him. He wonders if she is trying to show him some kind of mercy, or what. She sighs deeply, because it is not like that at all. Actually, neither of them knew anything about this cultural rule, but there was no other choice in that moment. Duke clears his throat and points out that even if he had taken the blame, failure was still going to be a failure. He is right, because no matter how hard she had tried, it was difficult to leave a good impression on Brad. That aside, she does not even know how she is going to make up for this disaster. Later, they are seen traveling somewhere else. Alicia gets off the carriage and stares around, wondering if this rundown place is really where they are going to stay. The garden is an absolute mess, and the roof is covered with heavy snow. She had heard that it was supposed to be a palace, but now looking at it, it feels like a prank. It is called the Bezel Palace. The 13 noble consorts are each gifted with rings adorned with gemstones, and they will be staying in palaces named after their rings, each connected to the months of the year from January to December. The order of the rings also signifies the ranking of the consorts, but all Alicia got from Brad was an order to disappear from his sight. The ring given to her is almost equal to her being non-existent, because her place is the 13th. It signifies not only that she is last, but that she barely counts at all. She starts to cry, because she did not even get a gemstone. She mutters an apology to herself, admitting that she got carried away in the glow, and thought maybe there was going to be a turnaround for her to actually get married here. It was really foolish of her. The reality is brutal. She is hated by Brad, and not only him, even the servants treat her rudely. Her future looks so bleak at this point. She looks around the palace, but nothing is properly managed in there. It seems like no one has lived here for a long time, and even the servants look unmotivated. At this rate, Not only is she failing to become an empress, but she is also on track to be exiled if she ever returns to her home. She really hates her supposed husband. He is rumored to be cold, and she nearly died of fear just by standing in front of him. Just because someone is handsome does not mean everything is going to be fine. Getting along with someone like him feels like hell on hard mode. But at the same time, if she does not become the empress, exile awaits her. She is also used to being disliked by the higher-ups, and after making such a big mistake in the arts, the head nurse kept ignoring her completely. She is in desperate need to turn things in her favor. In her past life, whenever times got rough like this, she used to calm herself by eating something sweet. After a good dessert, her brain would chill out. Something sweet is exactly what she needs right now. But in this empire, the vibes are different. In her own kingdom, pastries and black tea were starting to get super popular among the nobles. Here, though, people hardly eat anything sweet. It is said they eat dates and drink wine after meals instead. She wonders if this is also another cultural difference she needs to understand. She looks at a painting hanging on the wall and asks one of the maids if she could tell her more about it. The maid, however, gives her the nastiest side eye, making it obvious that she is not interested in talking to her at all. Even though Alicia is technically a consort, she is ranked dead last, and on top of that, she is hated by Brad. And that makes her situation a total nightmare, wrapped in a palace that does not even look like one. She says to the maid that she has just one question, and it is whether this painting is of this palace. The maid answers that this is right, and she adds that she has heard the former consort who once lived here came from the South Tem region, so she put a lot of effort into growing plants from that area. This makes Alicia really wholly shook, like girl's jaw is practically on the floor. The maid also adds that the flower blooms in summer, but Alicia bolts off, running like she just had 5 espresso shots. She rushes outside and starts digging into the snow, determined to see if there are any withered plants left. She tries to pull something out, and boom, out comes a great bundle of sweet potatoes. Alicia stares at it with the pure joy of someone discovering free Wi-Fi in the middle of nowhere. Duke appears and asks her what on earth she is trying to do and whether she has lost her mind already. Alicia happily shows him the sweet potatoes she just unearthed like she's presenting hidden treasure. The Duke stares, confused beyond belief, not understanding what in the world the sweet potato even is. Alicia quickly gets it, that in this empire they might not have the custom of eating them, and even if they grow in gardens, they might only be considered decorative plants. She then declares, with dramatic determination, that she is going to cook some for him, since sweet potatoes are literally top tier, especially when roasted, sweet, and soft. Duke, meanwhile, is standing there with an expression like he just got rickrolled, unable to believe that she's about to eat something that looks this gross to him. But then out of nowhere, Alicia gets another great idea flashing in her mind, like a light bulb emoji moment, and she's hyped about it already. Emma, her maid, comes in and announces with a bit of distress that she couldn't buy any sugar. Sugar is, in fact, ridiculously expensive, and the amount of money she was given was nowhere near enough to purchase it. To make matters worse, the shop she usually goes to doesn't even sell sugar at all. Alicia listens, says okay, but in her head she is already spiraling a little, because she realizes the real Alicia's sense of economy must have been tragically weak. She cannot figure out what counts as expensive in this world, since she has been able to get other items without much trouble. Now it becomes painfully clear that sugar is basically the premium luxury brand of food ingredients in this land. Still, she is determined. If sugar is pricey, it just means the sweet she is about to make will turn out even more of a big deal, a kind of rare flex ingredient. She thanks Emma sincerely for going out in this freezing cold and says that she is going to warm the stove herself now, planning to whip up something sweet for two. With a playful kind of boldness, she happily requests to borrow the kitchen for a while. Emma, on the other hand, is completely shook at this sudden turn of events. When Alicia actually steps inside the kitchen and starts messing with ingredients, the other maids begin whispering to each other in wide-eyed disbelief about why the consort herself is cooking in the kitchens. This is not just unusual, it's practically scandalous. The gossip spreads like wildfire, and everyone is flustered at the sight of her moving about like an ordinary cook. Emma explains to the others that Alicia suddenly asked her to go get milk and eggs out of nowhere, which has turned into a whole extra errand. Honestly, it feels like such a hassle, and she is low-key annoyed. Meanwhile, Alicia calls out to Emma, asking how in the world she is supposed to use this stove. Emma, caught off guard again, explains that they just need to infuse magical power into this stove to get it working. She points to the small pedal, and says that by stepping on it, the magic will flow. But since Alicia has zero magic power, she can't use it herself and has to ask Emma to do it for her. Emma freezes on the spot. She is stunned, completely gagged, because if Alicia really has no magic, how on earth has she been surviving in this world until now? It feels so bizarre to her, because never in her entire life has she seen anyone who couldn't use magic at all. To her eyes, this consort looks tragically hopeless. Brad, after all, is the emperor with the highest magical power in the empire, a total magic god, so why would he ever choose someone like her to become empress? The thought makes Emma sigh internally, as she goes ahead and ignites the stove for Alicia. Alicia, in contrast, finds this whole process absolutely fascinating. She thanks Emma with pure excitement and marvels that magic really can do anything. She is like a kid discovering Wi-Fi for the first time. Emma, however, frowns to herself and thinks that praise like that should honestly be reserved for Brad alone, the man whose magic literally stuns nations. She cannot believe Alicia is gushing over something as basic as a stove. To her, magic is ice walls crashing down, or healers light mending bodies, not kitchen appliances. But still, she lights the fire anyway, and Alicia stares with delight, fully enchanted by the small marvel right before her eyes. Alicia does not even know that there are types of magic, until Emma, half annoyed and half suspicious, points it out to her. Emma tells her that it is common knowledge, especially among nobles, to understand the categories of magic, and the fact that Alicia has no clue makes Emma secretly doubt if this girl is even true royalty at all. In a world like this, where everything revolves around magic, and one's power is practically their passport to survival, Alicia having zero magical ability is downright tragic. It is really difficult for her to live in such an environment, but instead of moping, she gets back to her cooking. She may not have the sparkly magic flex that others do, but she sure knows how to wield a knife like a boss. Emma, still peeking curiously, wonders what exactly this yellow ingredient on the counter is. Alicia is already chopping through it with neat precision, and after cutting them all up, all she needs to do is drop them into hot oil. The sizzling sound fills the kitchen, and suddenly, the entire place smells insanely good, like comfort food vibes cranked up to 100. Once the pieces are golden and appetizing, she drains them onto a plate. Next, she tells the maids to wait for a bit, because she needs to step out. The maids look at each other like, "Girl, where is she even going now?" A few moments later, Alicia returns with some pots in her hands, an extra little ingredient, and after mixing it in with something else, she declares in total triumph that the dish is done. What she serves is sweet potato with a scoop of ice cream, without even a sprinkle of sugar. The sweet potatoes themselves are already naturally sweet, and the white part is the frozen cream she has fashioned into a makeshift ice cream, while the yellow part is the fried sweet potato. It becomes this warm and cold combo that is straight up galaxy brain level creativity. The snow outside has acted as her freezer, which makes the entire idea even more genius. The maids stare at the dish, not even sure how they are supposed to eat it. Alicia demonstrates for them, taking a piece of sweet potato, scooping it into the ice cream, and then eating it together. The result is so unexpectedly tasty that her eyes light up instantly. The sweet potato is so sugary on its own that no extra sweetness is needed at all. The contrast between the warm, soft potato and the cold, creamy ice cream is literally magical. She could honestly eat this combo for the rest of her life and not get bored. Seeing her so hyped, she asks the maids if they want to try too. Emma is the first one brave enough to step forward, and the second she takes a bite, she falls in love. It is super delicious, sweet, warm, and comforting. Alicia smiles, satisfied, and says that this is exactly the point. The sweet potatoes are naturally rich and warm, making them perfect on their own. For Emma, this is the first time eating something so shockingly good, and even the white ice cream has a creamy taste that is so addictive she can't stop taking bites. Alicia generously gives portions to the other maids as well, turning the kitchen into a mini food festival. While they eat, she turns into a sudden health and beauty influencer, lecturing them that the protein in the ice cream actually helps preserve the vitamin C in the sweet potato, so it doesn't disappear even when heated. This makes it great for their skin. Plus, sweet potatoes are rich in fiber, which is amazing for digestion. She announces proudly that this treat is good for both beauty and health. The maids are so into it that they completely forget about gossiping. They are simply enjoying the dessert like loyal subscribers to Alicia's cooking channel. Just when everything is going great, Duke suddenly walks in. Alicia immediately calls out to him, telling him to come and join them because the dish turned out really delicious. But instead of sharing her excitement, All he does is sigh heavily. He asks her, almost sternly, if she has already forgotten the reality of her being the last consort. His words slice through the cheerful atmosphere like a blade. Alicia, however, answers calmly that of course she has not forgotten. How could she ever? But still, she says, it is okay to indulge in a little bit of happiness too. The two of them stand there, slightly depressed, because they both know the weight of reality pressing down on them. Alicia, looking at his face, wonders in her heart how she is ever supposed to fight someone like Brad. The Emperor's overwhelming magic and power feel impossible to oppose. But again, if she doesn't become the Empress, she will be exiled. And for someone who cannot even use magic, that exile could very well mean dying on the streets. Her eyes drift back to the sweet potatoes, and then to the maids who are still enjoying the dish, their faces lit up with joy. At that moment, she makes up her mind. She grabs the sweet potatoes with determination, already forming a plan. If she is going to survive, she will take this taste of sweetness with her and charge straight into her destiny. Duke asks what she means by that, and she points out that she did say charging in with this hit is more like an apology plan. The reason he seems so frightening must be because he has never had any sugar in his entire life. The plan is to offer him sweets while working and apologizing at the same time. The Duke asks if she really thinks that is going to work. Alicia, with a straight face that screams, insists that they need to make it work. There are no sweet snacks in this place, because dried fruits with wine are the only available option. The desserts are limited to drinking sweet wine. That means sweets are practically rare Pokemon here. In such a situation, if someone who created rare sweets appeared like a comet, their reputation would rocket straight into orbit. She is certain this strategy will work. She turns to Emma and asks if they happen to have a steamer. Emma, totally unfazed, responds that this world doesn't have one yet, but making it will actually make the snack even better. Alicia, fueled by sheer chaotic creativity, starts pulling out supplies. First, she takes out a large pot and flips a soup bowl upside down inside to create a slope. Then, she places a flat plate on top and adds some water. Just like that. Boom! Innovation unlocked. The steamer is ready. The idea is simple. Let the steam hit the food without it ever touching the water. Both Duke and Emma exchange looks like, is she for real? While Alicia busies herself with the preparations, she checks the pot and declares that this much is going to be enough. Soon, the sweet potato steamed buns are ready. These are going to be sweet, without any sugar at all, thanks to the natural sweetness of the potatoes. Emma takes one bun, notices it wobbling in her hand, and blurts out that it's moving like jelly. She takes the first bite. Her eyes widen and she is completely shook. She has never tried anything like this in her life. Alicia, smug like a cooking show host, tells them to wait because there is plenty more, and everyone will get their share. She glances at the Duke, waiting for the ultimate verdict. He takes a bite too, and finally, she looks at him when he turns away in awe. It is genuinely delicious. Alicia feels her heart do a happy little dance, because if even he is shook, then it must be really delicious. After that, Alicia and Duke head to the palace to meet him. She notices that the waiting list is ridiculously long. The knights stop her, and the butler tells her to stand in line. She fires back, asking what happens if the consorts also have to stand in line when she has already submitted her arrival letter. The butler, clearly powered by corporate HR energy, explains that Brad is a really busy person, so if she wants to meet him that badly, she'll have to wait. Alicia is pissed like, waiting room at the hospital when you already made a reservation level pissed. The whole thing feels like a scam. She looks at the line again and realizes it doesn't even lead to the audience room. The line leads to the office. Duke wonders, half baffled, what is happening? Even though Brad is always swamped, Brad insists on a personal conversation, and that insistence is what makes everything feel so hectic. She knows Brad works absurdly hard, and it worries her that he might collapse from overwork. She has seen so many doctors keel over after pushing themselves like that. The closer they come, the more everything shifts. The nearer they walk, the tenser the atmosphere becomes. Everyone looks genuinely nervous. Understandable, given who they are about to face. She herself feels afraid. Suddenly a sound comes from the office. She moves to rush in, but the butler bars the way, insisting that, whatever the reason, she cannot just stride into the office. She immediately apologizes, explaining that it is an instinct formed in the ward. When an alarm sounds there, they run for the patient without hesitation. The gate then opens, and a lord falls to his knees, begging Brad not to act in this way. He is conjuring magic of snow. Panic radiates from him. Brad scoffs at the plea, dismissing the Lord as flustered and unable to properly carry out even a single command. With a sharp motion, he dissolves the snow and declares that he will annihilate the opposing faction. The Lord is like, "What?" His voice comes out sharp, and Alicia immediately notices that he is way angrier than the first time they met. His fury practically scorches the air. The Lord points out that, with all due respect, Lord Evan's son is only 8 years old, and executing him is just too harsh. But Brad doesn't budge. With the coldness of someone who has already made up his mind, he insists that if the boy is left alive, he will only grow up to become the seed of rebellion. The Lord argues back, saying he could send the child to a monastery instead, where he would be isolated and given the chance to reflect on his faults. If raised in isolation, the boy would never even think of rebellion. Brad only scoffs at the suggestion, calling it naive. His eyes narrow, sharp as daggers, and he points out that no one can guarantee the boy wouldn't eventually crawl out someday and take revenge for his parents. With all the enemies Brad already has, the safest thing is to nip it at the bud before it grows. The whole conversation terrifies Alicia. She's standing there, frozen, realizing this man she's supposed to marry is seriously planning to kill an 8-year-old. Cold-blooded doesn't even begin to describe it. This emperor is terrifying on a level she hadn't even imagined. When Brad's eyes suddenly lock with hers, her heart jumps into her throat. So, for now, she does the only thing she can think of. She smiles. Fake it till you make it, right? Brad suddenly shouts at her, demanding what she's even doing here, and orders her to leave. She practically flinches as the butler steps in smoothly, announcing that today's audience has ended. She can't believe it. She just got scolded again. Honestly, she's starting to think the steamed buns she bought herself in Japan before dying were the last truly good thing in her life. Totally wasted now. Duke suggests they head back for now. Alicia looks out the window of the carriage and feels restless. She wants to take a walk before returning. When Duke asks her what she is planning to do, she brushes it off, saying nothing. She just wants to clear her head. The Duke warns her not to get lost, but she waves it away and continues walking. This palace is enormous, and until now, she hasn't even had the chance to properly explore it. Today, she finally takes in the vast garden. Even though it isn't in full bloom, the space feels alive. The air is different here, warmer, softer, filled with the sense of soil and flowers. She walks deeper until the atmosphere shifts, the quiet of the greenery wrapping around her. It's beautiful. Her eyes wander, and she spots a strawberry patch first. Nearby, inside a greenhouse, there are orange trees. Decorative flowers are everywhere. Ornamentals lined the paths, and surprisingly, they're even using sweet potato flowers as decor. Maybe in this world, people don't recognize certain plants as food and only see them as pretty ornaments. Honestly, this place is both wild and fascinating. As she wanders with wide eyes, someone approaches and asks her what she's doing here. Startled, she turns to find a man. She apologizes immediately, saying she just wanted to look around. Then, curious, she asks if he's in charge of the garden. He answers yes, but before he can continue, she leans in with sparkling eyes, blurting out the real question on her mind, whether, by any chance, he could share some strawberries with her. Alicia is all kinds of confused. It seems like in this empire they don't even call strawberries strawberries. When she points to them, the man looks at her like she's speaking another language. He tilts his head, asking what on earth she's talking about. Her eyes drift to the basket in his hands. It looks like he's harvesting them. He explains, dead serious, that these are meant to be thrown away. Alicia's jaw drops. Excuse me? Why would anyone throw away such glorious treasures of nature? The man is baffled by her reaction. He's never seen anyone eat them, never even heard of it. Still, he shrugs and says he doesn't mind sharing, though he has no clue what she plans to do with them. Even so, he addresses her by her rank, though it's the lowest rank possible, which just proves that everyone knows who she is. Unfortunately, they probably only know her in the most negative light. The gardener nearby, watching the scene, asks her if she'd like anything else. Alicia brightens and requests that he take some buns as thanks. She explains enthusiastically that they're steamed buns. The man stares at her for a moment and then chuckles. He admits he's heard the rumors, that she's evil, cruel, heartless, but honestly, standing here now she just seems quirky, more weird girl energy than villainous. Alicia clears her throat and quickly explains herself. It's not like she went feral over strawberries. She only got excited because they look so fresh, and also because the garden itself is really pretty. She blurts out a question, asking if he's the one who takes care of it. He nods, and she excitedly compliments the space, saying it's stunning. She adds that all the gardens she has seen so far are beautiful, but this one makes her feel the most at ease, like it has healing vibes. Still, she knows she should head back. She thanks him again for the strawberries and promises to share something with him later too. As she leaves, the man watches her curiously, wondering if she actually plans to make food with the strawberries. Alicia nods. Yes, she does, but it would be so much better if she had sugar. Unfortunately, she already knows sugar is hard to come by. He confirms her suspicion. Of course, sugar is rare here. It has to be imported from the southern nations, and everything is monopolized by the Arjun Kingdom, which slaps ridiculously high tariffs on it. This revelation shocks her. Suddenly, everything clicks into place. No wonder there are so few sweet foods in the empire. Sugar isn't just a luxury, it's practically a weapon. It's monopolized by Arjun, the nation famous for maritime trade. From the perspective of the Austrian Empire, even mentioning sugar sounds like mockery. After all, they literally fought wars over it. Realizing her blunder, Alicia bows her head slightly and apologizes. She hadn't meant to offend, she was just thoughtless, speaking without considering the empire's scars. The gardener, however, simply hisses at her to leave the gardens immediately. She doesn't argue. She thanks him one last time for the strawberries and takes her leave. Once she disappears down the path, the gardener sighs and removes his cap. The disguise falls away, and it's revealed to be Brad himself. He scoffs under his breath, muttering about how bizarre this woman is. What on earth is she up to? In disgust, or maybe in sheer irritation, he throws the buns she had given him straight to the ground. She goes back to her third-class palace, just as the snow starts falling again, tiny flakes swirling like nature's confetti. She wonders if she got scolded by Brad yet again, but honestly, what the gardener told her earlier gave her a huge upgrade in useful information. She now knows that sugar cannot be obtained in this nation. The raw material for sugarcane is monopolized by the enemy nation, and it is not a problem that can be solved even by throwing big money at it. Alicia stands still, staring at a bare tree, making the quiet but fierce resolve that she will make sugar herself and help this empire glow up. She finally heads back to her palace, shivering from the outside freeze. It's literally freezing like a walking freezer. The Duke suddenly calls out to her, and she wonders for a split second if he has been waiting for her this whole time. He brushes it off, saying of course not. He was just going out to take a look at the snow, but he still welcomes her back, which makes her chuckle. She thanks him and assures him that she has safely returned. Alicia then goes and sits by the warm fire, wrapping herself in the comfort of the flames. Duke points out that, since it is getting dark, he should light up the house. With just a flick of his magic, the place glows instantly. Alicia, however, can't use magic, so she is unable to do even simple stuff like lighting up her own house. That fact reminds her of the time her sister told her she was going to teach her a lesson and locked her inside a dark room. Alicia shakes off that memory, brushing it aside like deleting an old cringe post. Now she can start a new life here. She just needs to slowly change the things around her. There is a gentle knock at the door, and Emma comes in, happily asking if Alicia would like to have a warm drink. Alicia thanks her and says she is going to enjoy it. It turns out to be sweet wine with dry dates, since tea is also an imported luxury and not common here. That warm drink instantly makes her feel cozy, but she still thinks a sweet dessert alongside it would be perfection. Still, she can see that Emma must have gone through a whole side quest just to get this drink ready for her, so Alicia knows she needs to be careful with her words. Emma keeps staring at her the whole time, eyes glued like she's watching a live stream she can't pause. Alicia finally asks if something is wrong with her face. Emma quickly shakes her head, saying no, it's just that she couldn't help herself, because Alicia looks really nice right now. Alicia blinks at her, low-key wondering if her skin is breaking out or something. Like, is she glowing or glitching? She honestly can't tell. Emma says yes, but she quickly adds that this is something she really cannot just ask the healer to fix for her. Seeing Alicia reaching out, Emma warns her not to touch it, because if she does, it is only going to make things more complicated, and it might even leave a scar. Then, almost like remembering in real time, she mentions that just like she had said earlier, that sweet potatoes are rich in vitamins, so she should eat them more often. Emma, determined, packs up her nerves and says she will go and make some good potatoes for her. But the thought lingers inside Alicia too. She thinks to herself that maybe it's not just about surviving on potatoes, but about creating something that can spark joy. So she suddenly declares to Emma that she is going to use the kitchen again. Without hesitation, she dives into action, starting to prepare something new. The maids gather in curiosity, whispering again as Alicia begins her little project. This time, she gets her hands on strawberries. Emma is completely taken aback because strawberries are rare and expensive, the kind of fruit nobles would keep under lock and key. Emma blurts out, half panicked, asking if Alicia stole them. Alicia, all calm and smug, assures her that she didn't steal a thing. She got them directly from the gardener. Then she works with the milk, boiling it down carefully until it thickens. What she creates is condensed milk, but without any added sugar, a surprisingly low-calorie version that still tastes heavenly. She hollows out the strawberries one by one, pours in the condensed milk, and then places them outside in the snow to freeze. Soon enough, strawberry condensed milk ice cream is ready. Tiny, jewel-like treats that are sweet, sour, and totally delicious. The flavor bursts with freshness. And because strawberries are rich in vitamin C, Alicia proudly points out that they're good for skin breakouts too. It's basically skincare and dessert in one bite. When she asks everyone to try it, the maids cannot resist. They each take a bite, and Emma especially is absolutely floored. She feels like this sweet stuff is too good to be true. She honestly never knew strawberries could taste this incredible. Alicia beams with happiness, watching them enjoy her creation, glad that her little improvisation has worked wonders again. But right in the middle of this wholesome dessert moment, Duke arrives and calls out to her. He tells her that she has received an invitation for a social gathering. Alicia freezes, because she clearly has no idea what this means. He explains with a sigh that the social gathering is a banquet held once a month, a place where the emperor and all 13 consorts come together in the same room. Alicia instantly realizes that this could be the perfect opportunity for her to appeal directly to Brad. The selection of the Empress, the Duke reminds her, will be based on the evaluations made at these gatherings. It's literally Judgment Day disguised as fine dining. Alicia clenches her fists, thinking that even though all the politics and interactions sound annoying and exhausting, she still has a chance to flip the script.